Hello, and welcome to the February 2023 monthly update. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you've all had a good February. I've certainly had an alright February. Gotten quite a lot of videos done, particularly on the gaming channel, because I did. I've done 2 indie game live streams, in both of which I played 4, so I've got 8 videos out of that, which are all now up. I did the 4th and the 2nd live stream just early today. I've uploaded them. And I've also done an album, MOID, the 13th MOID album called Master of Snart, which does actually mean something if you can figure out how to translate. I'm not going to tell you what it means because that would spoil the fun, really, wouldn't it? But so there's a link to that in the description on both YouTube and Bandcamp. It may be the last MOID album for a bit because I kind of want to do something different for the next one, but I don't know what I want to do different. So we'll find out. I may well just continue doing the same thing, but I'm just not really in the mood for it today. I've also started a painting. I started it on the 15th of February, but it's not done yet. Although an interesting thing about it is on a canvas that I have actually made myself out of wood from an old wardrobe and a bedsheet, which was a bit sort of icky because it got all the grease from my hair, so it was a big sort of brown patch on it. So it was a bit nasty. So making it into a painting. Have I done anything else? Has anything else happened? I feel like something big has happened in the world, but I've forgotten what it was. Is anyone watching? Can you tell me what? I'm sure there's been some big thing happen in the world. I feel like I'm being really dense. Well, I can't remember, so obviously it can't be that important. I know something has happened though, and I can't remember what it was now. Either someone important's died, or something in the news. I know a couple of things have happened with YouTube. I know we've got a new CEO, but that might have been. I think I've already talked about that. I think that was January. I can't remember what's happened, so sorry about that. But then again, no one really watches this for the news because no one watches it. But what the purpose of this is to tell you about me. So that's everything that has happened to me. What may go on to happen in the next month, I don't know. I'm probably gonna do some more gaming related stuff on the Natty Boy channel. Is there a link to the Natty Boy channel in the description? There is. It's under the gaming channel, is what it says there. So yeah, if anyone wants to watch those, they can. So yeah, Yoko Ono turned 90. That's also something that happened. So everyone wish Yoko Ono a happy 90th birthday on the, I think it was on the 18th, something like that. So there's that. My dad turned 52 on the 16th of February. So there's that. Let my mind completely blank. I know something has happened in like the world in the last month, but I can't remember what it was, so sorry about that. Anyways, that's that. I may also continue with that painting in the next month as well. I may not. I don't know. So that's that. Let me just open this because I usually have the list up, but I don't have it up at the moment because I'm an idiot. So I need to load Discord. Because on Discord I have a little thing just to tell me what I'm supposed to do because I'm an idiot and can never remember. So that's one. Films and TV shows. Alright, so I haven't actually watched any films, or at least any films that I hadn't already watched before. But I started watching 2 TV series. Both of these I've listed as in the series 1 because I've completed series 1. This is how I do it. I link what I've completed. If I've started something, that's different. So season 2 of both these shows I've linked are different. One of these, the first one, Top Gear. I have seen Top Gear, but I've never actually watched any actual episodes of Top Gear. Any full episodes. I've just seen clips. I was already a fan of the show. I just hadn't actually watched any of it yet. So I've watched the entirety of series 1. I started it in January, but that, as I said, I finished it in February. So that's that. From 2002, which is very funny. It doesn't have James May in it, so it's not the complete lineup yet. But starting with series 2, it has him in it. So it's of course, Top Gear has actually been going since 1977, but it's pretty much a different show. The original Top Gear was about cars. This Top Gear is about those 3, and the cars are just a kind of little addition, really. Although from starting out, it does seem a lot more about cars, but I know that that's not going to last very long. But very good. I mean, of course, I don't need anyone. I don't need to. And no one needs me to tell them that Top Gear is very good. Everyone knows that. But I've just started watching it, so. Yeah. And the second show is carrying on with my sort of I don't know if you'd call it a phase at the moment of watching children's cartoons. But this one, My Life as a Teenage Robot, is actually older than I am. So this is the first one I've watched on the chat. No, it's not. I watched Moomin, didn't I? And that was really the first one that started the whole thing off, and that was 1990. But anyway, I was born during the transmission of season 1 of My Life as a Teenage Robot. No, I wasn't. Was I? No. I can't remember now. It doesn't matter. Basically, I was born in 2004, and this was 2003 to 2004, so I can't quite remember. But it's very enjoyable so far. I must say, I like these classic kinds of cartoons because they are closer to the kinds that I grew up with than the kind that I've the more story-based ones like the Owl House and Star vs. the Force of Evil, that kind, which are very enjoyable. But they weren't cartoons like that weren't really around when I was growing up. This one I didn't watch. I haven't seen My Life as a Teenage Robot. I didn't even know it existed until I saw it recommended in the comments section of another cartoon series. I can't remember which one. Probably doesn't matter. But I just thought this TV show. This one is a more classic one, 2003, and it is a lot similar in tone to the kind of show that I actually grew up with, because I grew up with Adventure Time and regular show, that kind of thing, where most of the episodes are a lot more standalone, and the humour at the time was a lot, because political correctness was still around, but no one cared about it. So there could be these slightly more risky jokes, even in kids' shows. Like in this episode, in this show, for example, there's one episode where a segment of it takes place in Japan, and they're all just yellow. That you couldn't do that. I mean, I'm surprised you could even do that in 2003, but evidently you could. And it's funny. It's just funny. And then there's some other jokes which are a little bit more, the kind of jokes that are put in there so that the adults watching the show with their children can still get, like the kind of bit of adult humour every now and again, and that's very fun as well. So it's a very good show so far. I'm about halfway through season 2 now. Taking a bit of a break because I don't want to. For me, I find if I binge watch an entire show, I get really bored of it, and I don't want to ruin, because these shows are very good, and I don't want to ruin them for myself, and so I like to pace myself. I can often get through a season, in one sort of, not in a day, obviously, but in one sort of go, and then I slow down throughout the next season, and that's what's happened with both Top Gear. I mean, I've only watched the first, I think, 3 or 4 episodes of season 2 of Top Gear, or series 2, because it's an English program. Although it used to be seasons in England as well, like Doctor Who. Classic Doctor Who is in seasons, and then modern Doctor Who is in series. A bit weird. So maybe classic Top Gear would have been seasons. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, so both of those shows, very good, very different, of course. An adult car enthusiast program from England, and a children's television series about a teenage robot from America. But that's that. So that's the TV shows. Albums that I've listened to, and I have listened to a few more albums than these, but I've listened to them for later times, and I try to only list things that I've listened to for the first time here. So firstly, continuing with my John Lennon Yoko Ono thing that I started last month, I listened to the 1972 half studio, half live double album Sometime in New York City, which is John and Yoko. And it also has a little bit of Frank Zappa on it at the end as well, which is very nice. Apparently there's some dispute about that. They credited it wrongly, but I don't care, because it was 1972 and I wasn't actually involved, so why should I care? It's just music and it's good, so. But very good. There is, of course, a certain song on this album, in fact the very first song, which was a bit controversial even at the time, and is slightly more controversial now based on the title. It's a very good song, and I can 100% agree with the message of it. And I think the people who are offended by it should grow up, especially the people who are nor black nor female, which is what the song is actually about. So people should be quiet. Not that white people aren't allowed to have opinions on things. I can have an opinion on whatever the hell I like. For example, I have an opinion on this song. So yeah, it's very good, and I can't wait to scream the name out in public at some point while my parents are around to embarrass them. That'd be nice. Next album is Yoko Ono's Approximately Infinite Universe from 1973. This is such a good album, and it proves wrong all the retarded people who say that Yoko Ono cannot sing, all of whom have clearly not actually done their research. But it's a very good album. It's a double album, and it's all very kind of soft rock, pop rock kind of thing, but I like that sound. But after that album, and there is one... Can it stop clipping, please? That's really annoying. Sorry, this keeps clipping. There's a certain song on it which has a lyric about abortion, which, I mean, it's a very opinionated album, and that I respect about it. And although I don't agree with the opinion I don't agree with the opinion expressed in the song. You could put any beliefs over the top of that kind of funky bass line, and I would agree with it. So, I mean, I reckon Hitler, had he released an album this funky, he could have conquered Europe. That's my opinion on the subject. So that's a very good album. Next is John Lennon's Mind Games, also from 1973. Continuing with the same kind of sound as Approximately the Infinite Universe. Very soft, gentle kind of... I mean, there's still rock, but it's not really, you know, it's not... It's just kind of... You know. But still very nice. Can't remember actually anything about the album. All I remember is that after those two, I felt John and Yoko were going down a bit of a path of sort of softness. Nothing wrong with softness, but I wanted a bit more hardness. Do I isolate that, please? So I thought I'd give Led Zeppelin a go, because Led Zeppelin are, by reputation at least, maybe not so much by music, but by reputation, one of the first heavy metal bands. So I thought I'd give them a listen, just to give myself a bit of a... Because I was getting a little bit bored with the kind of musical direction that John and Yoko were going in. Because they seem to have given up their more avant-gardeness now, and that was what got me listening. I still enjoy it, it's still good music from a factual perspective, but it's maybe not as interesting as the kind of stuff that they were doing in the really early 70s. I mean, 1973 is still the early 70s, but I mean like 1970 to 1971, where they were doing the kind of experimental, you know. So I'll just do Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin 2, both from 1969. The first Led Zeppelin album, the first Led Zeppelin album, by reputation, is kind of... It's meant to be a really, really, really good album. It's alright. That's all I can say. It's, I mean, admittedly, my first time listening to it. I think I was just expecting... I mean, when you hear a band described as heavy metal, you expect them to be heavy metal. This first album, at least, is not heavy metal. It is... I mean... I think even the Beatles, when they did Helter Skelter, was heavier than any of the songs on this album. I mean, it's a good album, but it's just, I was expecting a little bit more. Which is why I was very much pleased with Led Zeppelin 2, which was everything that I hoped Led Zeppelin 1... Led Zeppelin 2 was everything that I'd heard Led Zeppelin 1 was, but wasn't. Led Zeppelin 2 was actually very rock and heavy and very... better, really. I much prefer... I can't remember anything about either of them now, but I remember I much preferred Led Zeppelin 2 on my first listen. But then again, often albums will take you a lot longer to appreciate if they're better. Like with Fleetwood Mac, some of their earlier stuff in the 70s, like particularly Mystery to Me, and even more particularly Heroes Are Hard to Find, I really didn't enjoy that much on my first listen, but now they're some of my favourites, so who knows, in the future, Led Zeppelin 1 may become my favourite. But out of the two Led Zeppelin albums I've heard so far, Led Zeppelin 2 is most certainly the superior of the two. But if you're going to listen to one, you might as well listen to both of them. So, because, you know, they're not long. It's not like they're double albums or anything like that. I'd be asking for something then. But anyway, then for another little change of direction, I listened to Dexys Midnight Runners' debut album, Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, from 1980. Now, Dexys Midnight Runners were a band I already liked, despite the fact that I'd only heard two of their songs, Come and Eileen, and God, what's the other one? They did it on the Young Ones. What the hell is it? Come on Eileen, and the one they did on the Young Ones. And I really liked them. And so I thought I'd give a full album listen. Now, this album was before either of those songs had been done, and it was because Dexys Midnight Runners have gone through... I'm not even caring about it clipping now, because it doesn't really matter. Dexys Midnight Runners went through sort of phases. So this was phase 1, or Dexys Mark 1. And it has this kind of horn section, whereas later on they moved it into like these Celtic strings that they have on those 2 songs. And they're still very good, but I prefer the horns. I prefer the sound of this album to those songs. And it's a lot more sort of fast paced and kind of a bit kind of crazy, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this album. I love it when a band with a kind of punk attitude has a horn section, like Oingo Boingo does it as well, and it's just, I like it. So and this certainly is a punk album. Even though I don't think anyone would ever describe Dexys Midnight Runners as a punk rock band, and they're not, but it's certainly got a punk rock attitude, that album, and I really like it. So then I went back to Yoko Ono with Feeling the Space from 1973. The same kind of sound as her previous album. Still very good, still very enjoyable, but kind of, you know, just a very gentle kind of sound. And less opinionated than her last album. I mean, it's pretty much all about feminism. I mean, it's not about feminism, it doesn't really seem to be about anything. But I like it. It's good. So it's the kind of album, like you'd never hear anyone saying this about a Yoko Ono album, but it really is the kind of music you just put on if you just want to relax and have a kind of a very soft, gentle kind of music on. You wouldn't really think that about Yoko Ono, because when people think of Yoko Ono, they think of the but this is actually like a very gentle, soft rock kind of sound, and it's good. And then as a further contrast, I'd already listened to a couple of albums by Nucleus, and I have a couple of them even on my phone, but I hadn't listened to any of them actually on the computer. I just listened to them on YouTube. They're another one of these bands that were just recommended to me like randomly on YouTube, and they're now one of my favourite bands. But they are a jazz fusion band from they went from the 70s to I think like the late 80s. But I just wanted to go through their discography from the beginning. So I've done their first 2 albums, both 1970, Elastic Rock and We'll Talk About It Later. I can't actually remember much about either of them, but it's the same kind of sound that I recognise from their later albums. It just hasn't been as refined yet, I think. But they're still both very good, and the same kind of thing where you just kind of put it on in the background, but at the same time, it's not like ambient music where you can put it on the background and it's great, whereas if you actually try to listen to ambient music, it can often be quite boring. I have listened to a lot of Brian Eno in this very chair, and you just kind of, halfway through the album, you're wanting for it to just be over. You really just want to listen to it, just to be able to say that you've listened to it. Whereas that's not really what ambient music is for. This can be used for that, but you can also listen to it, because they're also songs, as well as just pieces of music. But still, both very nice. And that's all of the albums that I've listened to this month. Anything else? Finally answering your questions. Oh, look at all those wonderful questions there in the chat. That's very nice. So, I think that's me done for now. I hope everyone has enjoyed this video and live stream, and if you have, please like and comment and subscribe. I hope everyone has enjoyed this live stream, and if you have, please like and subscribe. Do 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 do